All right, welcome to Unit 1, Lesson 9. This is part 2 of the video. Hopefully we will finish this lesson today. And we are continuing with the vertex form of a parabola. This time they want us to come up with the equation. This is where we left off. Write the quadratic equation of a parabola with the vertex -3, 5 and the focus -3, 6. Notice it doesn't tell us we need to graph it. That's just there for our own, if we want to see a visual or maybe help us out. So our vertex is -3, 5. So what I'm going to do is I will actually put this here at -3, 5. Right there, that's my vertex. All right. And my focus is -3, 6. So if I go up here one more, that's the focus. All right, here's my vertex, and there's my focus. Now, what's going to help me create this equation is, and I'm going to scroll back here. We're almost there. We're almost there. This bad boy right here. This formula is just money, and it involves almost everything we do when it comes to vertex form of an equation, graphing it, coming up with an equation, etc. A equals 1 over 4c. And let's not forget, whatever value is here is our A value. And what's critical about this and what we're doing is this C right here is the distance from the vertex to the focus. Let's keep that in mind. So let's fast forward back to where we were. If C is the distance, okay, actually, I'm going to go highlighter. If C is the distance between these two, right here, technically, I am moving up 1. So C is +1. All right? How else could I do that? Well, if my vertex is -3, 5, and my focus is -3, 6, how do I get here? Don't I add 1? I do. So that is my C value. All right, so if I know C is 1, my A value is 1 over 4C. That's what we needed to remember. That's that memorize this part. 1 over 4 times C, which is 1. So my A value is actually 1/4. Now, I have everything I need, all right, to graph, or excuse me, to write the equation. All right, I have my vertex, and now I have my A value. That's my A value. All right, and why is that important? Because if you remember, in order to come up with the vertex form, y equals A times x minus h squared plus k. And why are all these highlighted things so important? All right, well, let me go to highlighter, and I'll go green. My H and my K are my vertex. All right, my A is this thing. All I got to do is just put those numbers in. I always have an X and a Y in my equation. So Y equals, my A value is 1/4 times X minus my H value. Remember, that's H and K, my vertex. I am subtracting the -3. When I subtract a negative, that's like a super plus. Beautiful. Plus my K value, which is 5. And that's the equation of a parabola. All right? This visual, I mean, you don't really need to graph it, so I'm not going to graph it there for you. If I had to graph it, okay, if I had to graph it, I know my vertex is at -3, 5. My focus is up 1. That means my directrix is down 1 from the vertex, isn't it? All right, so all I need to know is that 4C is my focal width. 4C is 4. The width of my parabola is 4 at the focus. So I go 2 to the right and 2 to the left. And my parabola would actually look like that. Didn't need to graph it, but Oh, it's always good to practice. Okay, again, write the equation of the parabola with a vertex. I'm going to move this whole thing up here. At the origin, and the focus 0, -4. So the vertex at the origin is 0, 0. We now have an h and a k. The only thing left we need for our equation we have an h and a k. The only thing we need left is an a. And I do that by finding the distance between my vertex and focus because that's my c value, right? A equals 1 over 4c. C is the distance from the vertex to the focus. This is vertex. Right? So all I got to do is find that c value, and I can pretty much find the equation in vertex form, and I could really graph it if I wanted to. So let's do this. All right? If my vertex is at 0, 0, and my focus is at 0, -4. How do I get from 0 to -4? I subtract 4. That's my c value. Okay, that's my c. That's the distance. My focus is down 4, so I'm subtracting 4. So if c is -4, it's 1 over 4 times -4, which is -1/16. That's my a value. I now have everything I need to write my equation. My a, my h, and my k. Y equals a of -1/16 times x minus my h value, which is 0, plus my k value, which is 0. Now, you could leave it like that, but since we're decent at what we do, that should be squared. I'm going to say y equals -1/16 x squared. That's it. And if I wanted to graph this, my vertex is at the origin. Boom. That's my vertex. My focus is at 0, -4, so I go down 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my focus. All right? If I go down 4 for the focus, I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 for my directrix. All I got to know is, well, how wide, there's my vertex, is my parabola at the focus. That's what 4c is. 16. So I go 8 to the right, and I go 8 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That point is down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That point is also down here. Right through, right through. It's money, butter. Now, as with any of these, if you pause the video and try them on your own, that's fine, because I'm just going through these. They try and throw a curveball at us for number 3. Write the equation of a parabola with a vertex at 5, 4. Okay, so that's my h and my k. And a directrix at y equals 8. The c value that I find out is the distance from my vertex to my focus, not the vertex to the directrix. That's in the opposite direction. So they try and throw you a curveball there. But if I know between my vertex, my focus, and my directrix, if I know any 2 of those 3, I can always find the third one. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, vertex is at 5, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there, that's my vertex. My directrix is at 8. So if I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 8. And notice, to get to my directrix, I go up 4, don't I? Which means to get to my focus, I go down 4. My vertex is always exactly in between my directrix and my focus. I said that earlier in the first part of this video for this lesson, but let me say it again. My vertex okay, is always exactly in between my directrix and my focus. So if I went up 4 from the vertex to go to my directrix, I need to go down 4 to go to my focus. And there I go. I have my C value. My C value is -4. How do I know that? Because in order to go from my vertex to my focus, I have to move down 4. It's -4. All right? So my A value is 1 over 4C. Got to know that. And if my C value is -4, that's -1/16. So y equals A times x minus 0. Yeah, I'll be okay. X minus h squared plus k. All right, my A value is -1/16. Minus my h value, which is 5, squared, plus my k value, which is 4. There you go. It's perfect. That's a negative parabola, so it should open downward. So let's do this in purple. My focal width, the width of my parabola, right at the focus, is 4C, 16. So I'm going to go 8 to the right. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to go 8 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do not forget to count the origin. So for my vertex, there you go. You don't need all these dots. I just put them there so you guys got a visual for what I'm doing when I'm speaking. Okay? You don't even need these arrows either. I mean, technically I did that for visual purposes, but that helps you understand where my C value came from. That's perfect. It's perfect. Same type of problem. It looks like here they give us the focus and the directrix. They don't give us the vertex at all. Again, between the focus, the directrix, okay, and the vertex. If I know 2 of the 3 of them, I can always find out the third one. And we do have 2 of the 3. We have the focus and the directrix. So let's plot these, and you'll have a visual of how easy this is. All right? My focus is at 4, -6. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my focus. My directrix is at y equals 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my directrix. Okay, my vertex is exactly in between them. What is exactly in between -6 and +6 on the y-axis? It's 0. If I put my vertex right here, that's 6 up and 6 down. Okay? So the vertex, I now have a coordinate for the vertex. Okay? That is 1, 2, 3, -4, 0. All right? And what's my distance from my vertex to my focus? Well, I've got to go down 6. So that's my C value. All right? Again, let me remind you how to do this algebraically. If I have my vertex at -4, 0, and I have my focus at -4, -6, the $1,000,000 question is, how do I get from 0 to -6? I subtract 6. And that's my C value. Okay? So C is -6. Therefore, those 3 dots mean therefore, my A value is 1 over 4C, which is 1 over 4 times -6, which is 1 over -24. Wow. That's a wide parabola. So what I'm going to do is this. We're going to come up with our equation now. A times x minus h squared plus k. A is negative 1/24. X minus H, our vertex are H and K, right? Minus a negative 4. When we subtract 4, boom, super plus squared plus K, which is 0. Okay, my answer doesn't need to have plus 0 at the end of it. When I add nothing to something, it remains itself. Okay, this is fine right here. I'm not going to graph this because my focal width is 4C is 24. I'm not going to go 12 right and 12 left. I might not even have the space in this graph. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. At the focus, it would come out this far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my God, I had the room. I said I wasn't going to graph it, but I have the room. So I'm going from the vertex, okay? I'm going from the vertex to my focal width of 24. Okay, from both those yellow dots on each side of my focus, that is a distance of 24, 12 on each side. So my parabola would actually go right through there. Wow, good work. Good work, people. Good work. Okay, now it's time for some heavy algebra work. If they give us this parabolic equation, y equals x squared plus 4x minus 1. Parabolic just means it's the equation of a parabola. They want us to convert it to vertex form. All right? The first thing we need to do, and there are two ways to do this. One way is completing the square, which some people don't like. But believe it or not, in my opinion, I think that's the easier of two ways. The first way is kind of do this algebraically, meaning, I guess completing the square would be algebraically. But this way is, I think, slightly longer algebraically. I don't know. You can pick your poison when we're all done. My A value is 1. My B value is 4. And my C value is negative 1. All right? So let's convert this to vertex form. The first thing I need to do is I need to find my vertex. Okay? So I'm going to do this work right here. In order to find my vertex, I can do this algebraically on a standard form of a quadratic or parabola. I'll be okay. This is standard form. They want it in vertex form. Okay? In order to find our vertex in standard form, the x value is negative b over 2a. So my b is 4. I'm going to negate my b value all over 2 times a, which is 1. Negative 4 over 2. That's negative 2. That is the x value for the vertex. How do I figure out the y value for the vertex? I simply plug my negative 2 into my equation. All right? I have an x value here, and I have an x value here. I'm simply going to throw negative 2 into there, and what that equals is my y. Now, we did this a handful of lessons ago. All right? So y equals my x value squared plus 4 times x minus 1. My x value happens to be negative 2. So I plug that in here. I get 4 minus 8 minus 1. That's negative 5. That's my y value. Now I have a vertex, okay? I have a vertex. Let's go jello. The x-coordinate is negative 2. The y-coordinate is negative 5. So we will go negative 2, negative 5. That is the vertex of my parabola. Now, once I have the vertex of my parabola, really, you guys might like this way better. Because how do I come up with vertex form? Highlighter. How do I really come up with vertex form? Let's write that out. Vertex form is vertex form. It's y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, where h and k are my vertex. I have those right now. My h is negative 2, and my k is negative 5. But what about my a value? It's in the original problem. A is 1. So y equals a, which is 1, times x minus h minus a negative 2, that's like a superplus, squared, plus k. So that's a negative 5. I'm adding a negative 5. You don't have to write the 1 here. That's optional. I just put that there. So ultimately, you get y equals x plus 2 squared minus 5. So you know what? You actually might like this way better. I said there are 2 ways. Okay, that's the first way. Before I show you the second way, completing the square, I also want to point out, they want us to state the focus. We have the vertex, but how do I figure out the focus? Remember that formula I told you to memorize. A equals 1 over 4c. All right? Now, I'm looking up here, and I'm going to say the c in this case, I don't believe, and we'll check this when we're done, is this c value right here. All right? That is a different variable that's going to tell us the distance from our focus to our parabola. But, let's see. A is 1, correct? Our a value is 1. That's our a value. So 1 equals 1 over 4c. Well, I should know that if I have a 1, that's the same thing as saying 1 over 1. So all I got to do is set these two equal. 1 equals 4c. If I divide by 4, my c value is actually 1/4. That means my focus is 1/4 away from my vertex. But is it up or is it down? Well, my parabola is positive, so it opens up. So if my vertex is here, my focus needs to be above it. Okay, so I'm going to add 1/4. My c is a positive 1/4 anyways. So I take my vertex and I add 1/4 to get my focus. Negative 2, the x doesn't change. If I have negative 5 and I go up 1/4, that would bring me to negative 4 3/4. Or you can write it negative 2, comma, negative 4.75, because I know everybody loves decimals. And that's how you find the focus. Now, let's go on to the second way to convert to vertex form. Okay, so there was 2 ways. Here's the first way to get this equation. Here's the second way, and it's completing the square. A lot of people don't like it. The first way really wasn't that difficult, but this helps you factoring or solving for x completing the square. So if I have x squared plus 4x minus 1 equals 0, the first thing I need to do is add 1 to both sides. Bang. X squared plus 4x equals 1. And remember, the brain trust. This was the part that you need to be good at. I take my 4, I cut it in half, and I square it. That's like 2 squared, which is 4. That number 4 is what I'm adding to both sides. Plus 4, plus 4. X squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 5. I now have a perfect square on the left side of my equation. Whatever is in parentheses here, it's a positive 2. Goes in parentheses here, positive 2 squared equals 5. All right, we're not solving for x. We're trying to come up with an equation. So let's bring our 5 back over to the left. X squared plus 2 squared minus 5. That is my vertex form right there. That seemed more fluent. The other way was we've done it a little bit longer ago, so it might be a little rusty. But some people might like the first way better. But you'll notice that my equations came out exactly the same. Y equals x squared minus 5. Or x, yeah. X plus 2 squared Okay? Y equals x plus 2 squared minus 5. Y equals x plus 2 squared minus 5. The same exact thing. That was a little bit of work in algebra, but you can do it. You're smart. This one's slightly easier. We already have an x minus 5 squared. I know that is a huge part of the quadratic form, or excuse me, the vertex form of an equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite this. I'm going to rewrite that. So I'm just going to solve for y and slowly peel away using opposite math, reverse PEMDAS. I'm going to multiply this by 1/20th because that will cancel here. So I'm going to multiply this by 1/20th. So I have y plus 2 left equals 1/20th times x minus 5 squared. And this is a layup. The last thing I do is subtract 2. So I subtract 2. So my equation, y equals 1/20th x minus 5 squared minus 2. That was nice and easy. Gotta love it. All right. Now, they ask us to state the focus in the parabola. They're not asking us for the vertex, but do we need to find it? We do. We need to find the vertex, which is easy, because that's going to help us find the focus and the directrix once we find our C value. So let's go here, highlighter, boom. My vertex, H and K. All right, remember, my vertex, I need to flip this. It's positive 5 minus 2. That's my vertex. How do I find my focus? If I know my vertex, I need my C value. That's the distance from my vertex to my focus. And how do I find that? A equals 1 over 4C. My A value, ladies and gentlemen, is 1/20th. Equals 1 over 4C. These two need to be equal. 20 equals 4 times C. Therefore, C equals 5. Positive 5. That's my C value. That's the distance from my vertex to my focus. So I add 5 to my Y because I'm going up 5. And my focus is 5, 3. That's my focus. How do I find the directrix? Well, if I went up 5 from my vertex to my focus, I should go down 5 from my vertex to my directrix. 5, -7. That's my directrix. And actually, the directrix isn't a point, but a line. So we want to say y equals -7. Wow, that was a lot in a little bit of time. I can't believe it, but we're finally on the last problem. They don't tell us to put this into vertex form, but I'm going to because it's always a lot easier to find the vertex than the focus and the directrix. So I'm going to multiply this side by 1 over -4. So these two cancel. What I'm doing is I'm getting y alone. So I multiply this by -1/4. Right? So I now have y minus 2 equals 1/4 times x minus 1 squared. All right? And the last thing I need to do is add 2 to both sides. So now my equation is y equals 1 over -4 times x minus 1 squared plus 2. I have my flipping vertex, H and K. Speaking of flipping, my -1 always flips to become +1. 2. That's my vertex. All right? And if I know my vertex is 1, 2, I can absolutely find my focus. I know it's 1 but my y value is going to change. It's going to be above or below the vertex. I need to find the c value. That tells me my change right here, my c value. So a equals 1 over 4c. There it is. That's what I want. My a value, it's my a value. So I'm going to say 1 over negative 4 equals 1 over 4c. In order for these bottoms to be equal, negative 4 equals 4 times c. C has to be negative 1. When I multiply 4 times negative 1, I get negative 4. So I need to adjust my y value by negative 1. So it's 1, 1. That's my focus. And if I went down 1 from my vertex to get to my focus, I need to go up 1 from my vertex to get my directrix. But remember, that's a line. I just care about the y value. The more you do this, the easier it gets. You got to practice. I will see you for the next lesson.